Welcome to the open category of the 2025 New Zealand Amateur Photography Awards. And we'd like to give special thanks to the Photo Warehouse, who's the sponsor of these awards. Photo Warehouse are proud sponsors of the New Zealand Amateur Photography Awards. Photo Warehouse have been supporting New Zealand photographers since 1987, operated by real people who know and love cameras. 7 stores nationwide, plus an extensive range of new and used products online at photowarehouse.co.nz. The open category is a free-range category for any subject and genre. This category is intended to celebrate photographers who push the boundaries of day-to-day photography and create conceptual and representative works. Photographs can explore a variety of techniques, including in-camera and any post-production treatment, as long as it meets the rules. As in other categories, the entrant must have created all the content themselves and all elements must be photographic. No computer-generated content allowed. If an image includes text, the text must have been photographed by the entrant rather than created in post-production. So now we're going to look at the top 25, and until we get to the top 10, we will be able to tell you what they were awarded. But before we do that, we're going to get our amazing judges to introduce themselves. Starting off with Janine.
Hi, everyone out in YouTube land. My name is Janine Fletcher, and I'm a fine art and landscape photographer from the mighty Ranfurly, population 700, in the Maniatoto in central Otago. I print and frame all of my own work. I'm a Grandmaster of the NZIPP and an Ilford Master. I really enjoy all types of creative photography, and I think landscape open type stuff is something I'm really looking forward to providing some commentary on today.
Hello, my name is Amber Griffin. I am a professional commercial and portrait photographer, and I work out of my home studio in the beautiful Wairarapa. I'm a Grandmaster of the NZIPP and have a fair bit of experience with photography awards. I won the Photographer of the Year for the Iris Awards in 2023 and a few categories over the years, and I am thrilled to be here to judge the Amateur Awards today. In light of what we saw in the Amateur Awards last year, I'm just really excited to see what we've got in the open category.
Hi, I'm Emma Steele. I'm a local photographer here in Canterbury, just outside in Rolleston. Got a wee portrait studio out there. I'm a Masters with 2 bars, and in the Iris Awards I've been a finalist a few times in illustrative and animal and portrait open. I did a small stint on honours, which I just want to commend them for all the hard work they're doing. And I managed to be the winner of the portrait category at the Asia Pacific Awards this year. And really looking forward to this. The standard is super high.
All right, let's get into it. I'm excited to see the first one. When I push the right button, that's all right. Stand by.
Well, congratulations with this image. Gosh, the communication between these 2 birds and the capture and the focus that you've managed to achieve is stunning. Loving the colour tones and the palette. And the blur in the background is brilliant. Really brings your eye into the birds. To improve, there's a little highlight on the bird on the right. It's just the top of its tail. Maybe just tone that down a bit. And not sure if I guess it's the angle, but seeing the table or whatever that the fruit is on, sort of breaks up the softness of it. But overall, it's stunning. I really like this image. Well done.
Just to add, I'd like to really congratulate the photographer on using a shallower depth of field for this to just really communicate the key information of the faces of the birds, which are just absolutely priceless.
And I forgot to say this award was 25th and got a silver award. This image was 24th and got a silver award.
Wow, what an incredibly creative image. I particularly enjoyed this sort of picking out of the key lines to convey that. Sorry, wait for that. That message of this lone tree being set adrift on what almost looks like a sea, and to achieve that out of a landscape it deserves congratulations. The textures throughout this image are absolutely beautiful. I have in fact viewed this on my lovely ISO monitor in Ranfurly, and it did come across very, very well. To improve, I guess it's just perhaps some subtle finessing of maybe a few minor distracting elements in there, just a really close proofread of the picture. But look, other than that, I don't have a great deal to add, but congratulations on really running with the philosophy of the open category.
Thanks, Janine. I just had one more thing that I wanted to add to this beautiful image. There's a little bit of, I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's sort of colour distortion that's going on in the bottom central blue part of the image with some of those orange tones sneaking in there. So maybe just have a look at your file and see if that is, if it needs to be there or not. I'm not sure that it's adding much to the image, and I do think that this is very beautiful, and I would love to see it in print.
Thanks, team. This image was 23rd and got a silver award.
This is a beautiful image, and just the colour palette, those blues, greens, usually it's sort of cold and chilling, but it gives you a sense of peace, and the detail in that stem and the little toadstool, I'm guessing, hood, and you can just see every detail, and just with the blur in the background, you've really brought it. We just look at the subject, you've done incredibly well. Actually, I can't see too much to improve. Here we go.
Oh, I'm just expecting a little smurf to pop out of the mist in the background here. This is delightful. I really, really enjoy the tonal range in this image. I do think that those dark black spaces down the bottom might just be a wee bit too heavy. So in an open category like this, you could just lift those blacks a little bit in there. And perhaps it would be nice to sort of push the texture just a wee bit more on that fungi to just really, really lift the textural nature of it. But a beautiful capture, well done.
This image was 22nd and it got a silver award.
Excuse me. Congratulations to the photographer on presenting us with a triptych that actually reads really well. So, excuse me, I'm just going to cough. Feel free to take it up.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Gosh, there's so much to see in this triptych. Janine, as a landscape expert, once you've once you've cleared your cough, I would love to hear your thoughts on this image. I'm trying to work out. I think it is actually really three distinctly different images, but the way that you've chosen to present them really, really makes them work together as one artwork, and I think that's very impressive. I can see obviously these are all sort of shot from the air, I think, and I can see what looks like a person in the central image. There are so many different shapes to find and enjoy in here, and I think that the way that you've chosen to pull all of these together is incredibly well done.
I think I've finished dying. Look, Emma was dead right with that person that looks like a parachutist kind of dropping down through the image. And I think that is it's really amazing to have a key like that in an aerial landscape image. They're also dropping down onto a ground, which I find quite appealing. So what we've got is three images that are working very well together. The colour palette is really good. The blacks up the top are quite heavy, but that heaviness might be accentuated by the black borders around the image, perhaps. So perhaps considering that might help. This is another image that it would be really great to have printed. If you're considering printing, go for it. Go and talk to someone about it if you can't print yourself. But you could be richly rewarded with an art piece for your own home. So yeah, I really encourage you to have a go, but congratulations.
Congratulations, well done. It's really enjoyed that image. This image got 21st and it was awarded a silver award.
Poppies! Poppies will put them to sleep. Oh, this is just beautiful. What a beautiful celebration of the humble poppy. I really enjoy that you have kept the poppy that is yet to bloom in there, because I think that those hairy pods are just such a fantastic textural element, and I really enjoy the way that you have pulled all of these together to create this still life. The inclusion also of the poppy that has got just one petal left on the top is just lovely, and I think that you've made an incredible image here. Oh, I've just noticed that there is just below the poppy that's got one image, you've got a poppy that's just missing a petal or has a gap between its petals. So I think that compositionally your image here is very strong, and you should definitely continue with this type of work. It's beautiful. Well done.
I just wanted to add, this is just beautiful on its own, but I also saw this as they were their different characters, like people in life, all with different stages of lives, and some with a little bit of damage, and some getting to the end of the life, and some about to start. They've all got characters, and the quirks and the shapes and the stems is delightful. Well done for seeing this and presenting it. It's beautiful.
I realise that we've just been just glowing over your image and haven't given you any proper critical feedback. So the only thing that I can really see here is that your flower on the very left-hand side of the image has got a significantly thicker stem than the others, and I wonder if that just looks a little bit enlarged compared to the others, but that's the only thing that I could see that could improve this image. It's very beautiful. Well done.
This image was 19th equal and it got a silver award.
Congratulations to the photographer on receiving a silver with merit, I think. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it is
Yeah.
with merit. Sorry,
Yeah, I
blind.
just read that. So it would have to be a composite image. because we've got many different generations of aircraft going on here, and I'm not too sure that you'd want to be flying them that closely. Which I guess when I considered it as a story, it's really dramatic and beautiful, but is there a way of just making it ring a little truer, or a little more true, and giving it just a touch more authenticity? I think each aircraft is photographed very well, but considering how everything is arranged to help us make that story a little more believable. There appears to be quite a bit of noise in the sky, so that might be another thing to consider. But overall, really well done, and I'm loving the idea. So please do carry on with presenting us with these amazing ideas. Thank you.
Yeah, well done. Coming from a family of aviation geeks, I think that you've done a wonderful job with the tiger moth there of capturing just the right amount of blur in that propeller. But I do agree with Janine that the composition of the way that these three aircraft have been put together could just be refined a little bit more. And with anything that is in flight, it's really important, I think, that you give the negative space around the aircraft enough breathing room, and oftentimes that means that it needs a little bit more space at the bottom to help it really look as though it's high up in the air. So perhaps just think about that when you are framing your images next time. And the final thing that I would like to say about this image is that the vignette in the bottom corners and the blackness coming in from the right-hand side of the image is very, very heavy. So if you just sort of chilled that vignette out a little bit, I think that would really strengthen your image.
Just to reiterate what Amber was saying, actually, that extra little bit of breathing room may have helped with the authenticity that I was talking about.
Thank you, judges. This image was 19th equal and scored a silver with merit.
This is a beautiful still life. It's got a great placement of the plant just coming through the image on the angle, and sort of the old wood, the tones in the bag, everything works, and even the texture behind. It's sort of a beautiful image you could see on a wall. Definitely printed would be amazing. To improve. Maybe there is a little bit of a story with that heart attached to the bag, but I just wonder what you could add to it to bring it up another level. And just looking at that wood, it's a little bit bright on the bottom right hand before it comes off there, but otherwise beautiful.
Yeah, I do agree, Emma. This is a very beautiful image, particularly with the tonal palette around the whole image. I love the way in that texture that you've got some of the tones from the wood replicated in that texture. I think that when you are using a texture like this, just be careful that that texture isn't fighting too much with your actual subject. In this image, I think it is a very strong texture, and I think that it would improve the image if it was just perhaps blurred out a little bit more, or just softened down a little bit to allow your still life to really speak for itself. When you are compositing things, it's very important to consider what the authentic depth of field would be for an image like this. So it would make sense to me that that texture wasn't quite as sharp as it is presented to us here. And I think that if that was just blurred out a little bit, then it would really strengthen this already beautiful image.
This image was 16th equal and it got a silver with merit.
So congratulations, Silver with merit again. Very, very good. It's really pleasing to see when people have, and I'm assuming this is some sort of landscape, when people have really abstracted the landscape to provide us with a feeling. In this case, I guess it is a feeling perhaps of isolation, and we've got a lot of sort of dynamic texture and movement going through the image as well. I do contemplate that there may be using the in-camera movement has been reasonably successful, but it is quite complex. And whether it needs to be just slightly simplified down, especially on the areas where the darker areas in the picture, it's quite eye-catching on those areas, and whether or not that's where we're intended to look, maybe just consider that. Keep practicing. In-camera movement does take a lot of practice, again, I reiterate what we keep saying. Please have a look at this, having this printed. I think using the right print media and having the opportunity to perhaps look at a really textured paper, it could really really bring this image to the fore.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree about really paying a lot of attention to your paper choice when you choose to print this image. It's really beautiful. And I would also just like to echo what Janine said with those darker, heavier shapes on the right-hand side of this image. I actually feel like the beauty in this image is all on the left-hand side, and that graceful, I think, seagull or bird that's up in the sky there really sort of stands alone on its own. I think that the blocks on the right hand side are just a bit too heavy, and I think it would be really worth having a look at the crop that you have chosen to see if you like this image perhaps as a square. It's probably worth just playing around with a little bit more, but definitely keep exploring this idea because you've really got an eye for the ICM. Well done.
This image got 16th equal and was a silver with a merit.
Gosh, lovely image. It's a great capture here because it plays on the fact that it could actually be a little dragon or a little creature with its head and its little tentacles out the back. It gives you a feel that it's a living being, and the focus being on the leaves on the main part is lovely, and then the softening off. There's quite a bit of softening off on the end of the leaves, but it seems to work well. It's got a nice texture behind it, and a vignette that maybe could be softened a little bit, but it seems to work to hold you back in. Beautiful colour palette. Yeah.
Yeah, what a magnificent shape. Oh, I just think this is such a sculptural flower that has got such a feeling of sort of personification about it. I can see why you chose to photograph this. In order to improve this image, I feel like the what I would call, say, maybe the lips of the flower, and down in the bottom left corner there, I just feel like the colours of the background are starting to meld into those petals a little bit too much, and I really want that strong purple colour to affect the whole of those petals. I do actually really like the crop, and I think the crop works well, but it just you could do a little more finessing with the colourings in this image, and then I think it would really help to elevate it. Also, just be careful with the background colours to make sure that they are really complementing your flower there. There is quite a strong vignetting going on, and also a very hot white part just above the what would you call that? You know, The head, the top of the forehead of the flower. Yeah, so just make sure that that background choice doesn't detract too much from your very beautiful subject. But carry on, I can't wait to see more of this kind of work from you.
Congratulations to this entrant who got 16th and was awarded 16th equal and was awarded a silver with merit.
Congratulations. I'm so enjoying the sense of absolute abundance in this image, and it's got very skillful references to Renaissance type painting, and just so rich and full in the frame. I don't think there is terribly much I would do to improve this, other than maybe having more more thoughts about those historical approaches to painting and seeing what you can pick the eyes out of on that. And it could be that perhaps this may respond really well to a slightly warmer tone. And also just really considering the shape of the arrangement of flowers. It's almost got an hourglass shape, and I'm jury's out for me on that one. I'm not too sure. And just considering those edge of frame distractions, just have a really careful look. But look, this is fabulous work, and just really keep exploring those historical approaches to art.
I just wanted to add the lighting on this is beautiful. They've done a great job of handling the light, and it gives that feel. So well done.
I also just wanted to add that I very much agree that that warming this up a little bit would really help to lean into that old masters feel and that really painterly kind of feel, and particularly in those whites, they just feel like they are perhaps a little bit cold and muddy and would benefit from a little bit more warmth. I think also that it's really important when you are pulling something together like this that every element within your composition is there for a reason. Just because you have all of those elements doesn't mean that you need to use them, and sometimes showing a little bit of restraint can really help to improve your imagery. So for example, the berries, I'm not sure that we need the berries and the sunflowers and the pink flower that's down the bottom. Maybe just try to really like stick to a theme in order to just provide a little bit more cohesion within the whole thing. But well done, it's beautiful work.
This image was 14th equal and got a silver with merit.
Congratulations, and for providing us with where the photographer has really added something to more than just capturing a star trail very proficiently. They've actually added human interest and sort of given it, I suppose, a frame, if you like. And then to have that the red hut right interrupting the trail, I think is actually genius. I wasn't too sure about the tent, and I thought, gosh, if that wasn't there, we would be right into it. I mean, it is what it is. Perhaps the tent had to be there, but it is just considering maybe just going that extra bit to really achieve what you want. And if the tent is what you want, I'd understand, but it could have been truly epic, perhaps with simplifying things. Now, I know our screen here is pretty dark, but the sort of the foreground rocks, it's getting fairly dark in there, and perhaps we need a little less of it. Not much, but just a little. Yeah, but look, congratulations on providing your own interpretation of what is a fairly often seen photograph. So that's very well done.
I very much agree about questioning the inclusion of the tent in this image because I think sometimes when you remove things and just really pare it back right to the essential elements of an image, you can really strengthen it. Also, this is sort of a general comment for this image, but a few others that we've seen today here as well. You don't always have to keep the image at the crop that you've shot it at. Sometimes really cropping in to an image can really strengthen a composition. So in this image, I can actually really imagine this as a quite a panoramic shot and getting rid of a lot of that foreground and possibly even a fair bit of what's going on in that magnificent sky. But just play around with crops to make sure that you're really presenting your work in the best possible way.
This image was 14th equal and got a silver with merit. Congratulations.
Well done on Silver with Merit. That's brilliant. Yeah, this is a interesting study and presentation of the flowers in ice, I'm assuming. It's been handled really beautifully. It gives us hints of petals underneath. To go further with it, I am wandering around the image a bit, sort of, there's quite a bit going on. And that leaf right in the middle is bright, which is obviously where you want the attention to perhaps rest. But I would either just play around with different compositions with the flower arrangements, or maybe the crop allowing more space at the top. There's so much you could do with this. I feel like there's a lot going on, and it's beautifully presented. I just think there's probably you can go further with this.
No, I agree with you, Emma. I think this is really beautifully presented. I'm not sure that I have a problem with the crop, although the red part right at the top that's touching the frame is a little bit distracting. I think that what I would recommend to improve this image is just some of those much heavier shadows, particularly around the, is it the rose hips on the left-hand side? Or yeah, I think they're rose hips. The shadows are very heavy, so maybe just sort of bringing a little bit more life into those shadows would really help it. But I particularly enjoy the droplets on those decaying petals. I think that it's beautiful to present flowers not in their like pristine state. There is also a lot of beauty to be found in the decay, and I congratulate you on presenting the beautiful decay of these roses.
It does look like passing of the seasons, really, when the roses are getting past their best. But the thing that I'm truly in love with, well, the flowers are absolutely beautiful, but is actually the texture of the ice in the background is really, really gorgeous. And I think that would possibly be a good reason to give the whole lot a bit more breathing room. It does sort of look like beautiful and inky and textured. So well done.
Congratulations to this person who got 13th and a silver with merit.
Oh, what a fun composite. To me, that very much feels like Alice sitting on top of that pile of books there and getting lost in the world of Alice in Wonderland. I love the inclusion of the checkered floor in there, and I think that this is a very well put together composite. Just really consider that when you're making a composite like this, ensure that every element really does have a purpose and a place in there. I know that it's very oftentimes such a done thing to have birds in the sky, but sometimes they really add to the image and sometimes they are just one step too far. So congratulations on your wonderful placement in this competition, and just keep working on simplifying those compositions.
It looks to me like a lot of thought has been given to the scale of things in this composite, but the piece that I maybe ponder is the scale of the grasses and whether they're the right sort of grasses. And the good news is when you are doing composite work, you can try lots of things out and just see how they go. And so, get out there and photograph perhaps some different textures and grasses and pop them in and see what happens.
I just wanted to add, well done. This is beautiful. There is a bit of streak of her hair coming down to the left of the book that's quite a bit lighter than the rest of her hair. So maybe just a bit of attention to that. And I was able to see this in the prejudging online, so I got to see it on a calibrated screen. The grasses, there was some of it that were in focus and some not, but the checkerboard is in focus at that point. So just really look at where your focal point is and where things start to blur out and where they really need to be sharp. But well done, really enjoy it.
This image got 12 with a silver with a merit. Congratulations.
Well done with your silver with merit. Yeah, another lovely take on the Alice in Wonderland. Really enjoying the bottle with the coloured potion down in the foreground. And the massive key, which and the swing and the movement in her dress and hair is beautiful. The angle looking up gives it the size when she's, I guess, her small self. I'm not sure either side of the door frame what the texture is there, whether that's adding or detracting. And yeah, is anyone else got some pearls?
I think the photographer's actually done well with sort of keystoning that door. Because it does, normally this is not a desirable thing in architectural photography, but it's in this instance it's actually working really well to give us that sense of scale.
Isn't that growth strip to make her bigger so she can reach the door?
I think it's shrunk her.
Yeah, it's shrunk her.
Or is
So
it
she can
shrunk
fit
her?
through the door.
I can't remember, but it's cool. All right, this image got 11th and it got a silver with merit. Congratulations.
Look, congratulations to the photographer. It's doing this well in this competition is fantastic. Great result. What I'm really enjoying about this image is that sort of there's the obvious sparkly glass things, for want of a better word, but it's actually this kind of surface tension that's around them that's quite fascinating. And I feel like perhaps to improve this image, there are the two dark spots on the left-hand side, and they are a distraction from the simplicity, which the photographer has done very well with the simplicity, which we've been talking about today. Of this fascinating image. So those sort of background elements, if there was any control there, there's also quite a bright highlight between the second and third glass thingies, and perhaps if that could have been just dialed down a wee bit, but understanding that is the source light, so it needs to be there. So yeah, any thoughts, ladies?
Oh, I totally agree with you. The only other thing that I'll add is that with three subjects like this within an image, I would just like to see a little bit more separation between them, and perhaps to help to simplify the composition to have them all on the same plane. But it's such a unique idea, and I'm still not entirely sure what these are. It's very intriguing. Well done.
They're very cool though. Yeah.
All right, now we're getting into the top 10. We don't know what these have scored. All we know is that they are in the top 10 and it's a completely random order. So if you want to know who won this category, you have to come back at 5 o'clock and have a listen. But for now, let's get on to one of our images in our top 10.
Congratulations. Wow, top 10. This is very painterly. You know, you can look at this and wonder if it's actually a painting rather than a photographic work. So that's well done for achieving that artistic result. It looks like it's handled beautifully, and the background texture seems to not dominate it too much, whether it could be blurred a bit more, but I'm enjoying the overall balance of the three and the mirroring of either side with the slight lean out and the arches. Improvement-wise,
Yeah, it's always really tricky to know what to do with the bottoms of those stalks and whether you bleed it right out into the edge of the frame or not. And I feel the photographer's pain. But in this case, I'm not too sure whether the sort of fading out is working. But look, that would be my only real area of feedback on this.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. The mistiness that's coming up, sort of hiding the bottom of those stems, does feel a little bit uneasy. But I just wanted to congratulate the photographer on the very sort of drawing, painterly quality of the petals of that. I think it's a dahlia. It's just a really unique way to present a flower like this, and I think they're absolutely beautiful. I would actually really like to see this turned into a vertical composition, so perhaps having your hero image at the top, and then with your blooms that are not quite so open down the bottom there, just supporting that hero flower at the top would help to just provide another option for something like this. But it's beautiful. Congratulations.
You could look at a separated triptych as well,
yeah.
which could look really classy.
Yes.
Congratulations. Here's the next one.
I'll jump in quickly because I just thought this was so clever when I saw it in the prejudging. I don't fully understand it, but I really appreciate the storytelling and the uniqueness of it, and the repetition with the wee elephants. Probably, if anything, the butterfly is quite bright in comparison to the palette of the rest of the image, and I just wondered the shadow on the main squiggly thing with the lady, whether that needed to have a bit more to include the shadow of the lady in the egg, but maybe that's transparent. So, and the wee white blob on the right, it just looks a little bit jarring. Maybe some softening or finessing on that, but really like in the background, I don't know if you'd call them hills or caves or whatever, they sort of give a sense of this is another world. But no, really enjoyed it. Well done.
You go.
Look, congratulations to the photographer for having absolutely no fear and just leaving it all out there. And I really applaud that. I think, I imagine in the process of constructing this image, they would have learnt heaps, absolutely. And that is why we do this. And I'm really enjoying the Salvador Dali-esque type references here, which are really strong, and as judges we understand. So congratulations.
Yes, this just has Dali written all over it, and I really, really appreciate that as well. I think in order to improve this compositionally, you could just perhaps some of those, I think they're sort of half-buried eggs maybe down the bottom there. Some of those could actually afford to bleed off the page to just make everything not so within the centre of within the margins of this image, and just ensure that every element that you choose to include has got a real purpose and a reason for being there, because I feel that the alien nature of those insect elephants is so cool and creative and interesting. And then having the monarch, although it's very beautiful, having the monarch just up the top there is sort of like knocks you back down to earth a little. So I'm not sure. I would love to see a more distorted, surreal type of butterfly up the top there. And then the only other, I'm not going to talk about the birds, but the only other thing that I will say is that it would be also quite, I think it would really help this image if you hadn't repeated that elephant 3 times. You could flip one of them. One of them could perhaps be down on its knees. Just keep pushing the envelope with a concept like this, because you've clearly got a talent and a vision, and I would really love to see this pushed a bit further.
Congratulations, and some great feedback there. This is the next image in our top 10.
Oh wow, this is so cool. Oh, look at all of that. I love the symmetry in all of your circles around the outside, and then having that rogue naughty circle in the middle, who just refuses to conform to the symmetrical mandalas. I really love it. In order to push a concept like this a little bit further, you could have allowed that naughty central circle to even be a little bit naughtier and, bled out of the side or be like not perfectly in alignment. Just keep pushing the boundaries with the work that you're making. But this is a really intriguing and beautiful piece of artwork. Well done.
I'd just like to draw fellow judges' attention to something that I believe in the background it looks like there's a structure or a building or something, and that may have been the source of all these images. And I think that's really cool. Yeah, yeah. Well done to the photographer. I think getting something that looks like woodcuts out of that is very clever.
And the next image in our top 10.
Wow, this is stunning in its simplicity, and although that's very hard to capture so beautifully, which has been done, the crop is really successful, I feel, with the square, with the main piece. To improve, I'm just wondering about there's a petal that's quite sharp on the left-hand bottom side, and then everything else is slightly softer. So I'm just wondering if that's where you want our eye to go, or whether that could be finessed a bit like the others, or whether another area could be a little sharper to keep us looking. But in saying that, that's been very picky, because the rest of it is really beautiful and soft, and I really enjoy it.
I really agree with you, Emma, and that is the part you spoke about in the centre left is the only part of the image that bothers me a little bit as well. I think that perhaps if it were not quite so bright, that would really help it. But this is just such an ethereal and beautifully tranquil way to present a flower like this, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I really think that it would be worth professionally printing this image on some kind of paper that really helps to elevate it, because it would make a magnificent artwork on your wall.
It's not a photograph until it's printed. So
Exactly.
totally agree. Some of this stuff needs to be printed. And here comes our next one of our top 10.
Ooh, yummy. Look at all that beautiful detail. Oh, I love this. This is the first time that I have seen this dragonfly. is it? Yeah. And oh, those dewdrops, everything in there is just so yummy. The detail that you have managed to capture here and the depth of field that you have gone with is working so very well. I actually don't have anything that I can see to improve this image. I think it's magnificent and you should be very, very proud. This would sit remarkably well in the nature category of the Iris Awards. So you've got a clear talent. Keep going, please.
I just wanted to jump in to say just how beautiful this image is. I was able to judge it in the prejudging. I'm not sure if you call it prejudging. In the judging, I was just stunned by it. The detail and the little, the legs even holding the branch, there's just so much to it that we wouldn't usually see. My only thing, that highlight in that bottom left droplet is quite bright, whether you could bring that down. But the rest of it's outstanding. Well done.
And let's not forget, this has actually been entered into the open category, so you are actually allowed to finesse things a little.
And this is the next image in our top 10. And someone's very excited and wants this
Yeah, I
one.
put my hand up to comment on this because I think this is epic. The colour palette, the structures, the use of in-camera movement, the little dotted highlights, giving us this sort of like dystopian feeling of a sort of, well, I was going to say abandoned, but the lights are still on. City, and I just thought the colour choices here, the composition choices, I feel that this is a very strong image. I really don't have anything to say to improve it other than please consider printing your work and Iris Awards, this type of work would be very welcome.
Oh, I agree. This is absolutely magnificent. There's so much going on here. However, it all holds together so very, very well. I particularly adore all of those bright lines on the left-hand side of the image, and all of the. So it's so unusual to see something that feels organic, but it's in all with so many straight lines. And I also just want to speak about the funny little curved objects in the lower sort of foreground, in the central foreground of the image. They add a quirky kind of element that just elevates this image even further. It's absolutely wonderful. There's only one part of the image that feels just a little bit unrefined, and that is in the central top third. I feel like there's, it's hard to describe, but a couple of those lines and that white shape above the third pillar in, I think perhaps doesn't need to be there, and maybe it would elevate this image to just have a little area that's maybe a little quieter within here. But this is magnificent work, and it would sit incredibly well in the Iris Awards.
I just wanted to add, it's a beautiful, it gives us that futuristic feeling, which is stunning. The only thing for me taking away is there's a reflection of an older style car in that, sort of just in the bottom. And if you remove that, then we're totally in on that futuristic world. But that just draws me out of it. But the rest of it's stunning. Well done.
Well, look, other than one old car, I was thinking that this is the type of image where it's very easy to lose control, and control has been more or less had very well here. So congratulations.
And this is the next image. Something very hard to something very soft.
Oh, wow. Look at that. I just adore this. I'm not sure, but I feel like in the Amateur Awards last year, I saw some of this work that maybe is from the same artist, and I'm so glad to see this back here again. Wow, the movement with the smoke in there, just beautifully pressing through all of those petals. It's just such a yummy, textural, organic image. The only thing that I think would really help to improve this is in a category where you're allowed to retouch things out, that hard black line underneath the centre of your flower there is quite distracting, and I think that your image would benefit from having that removed. But I adore your work. It's just so sensual and gorgeous. Well done.
Look, congratulations on the really good use of a monochromatic image, because botanical images are normally colour, and I think what's happened there is that has then drawn our attention to those beautiful, yummy textures. So, great choice.
Sorry, my only other comment was there's really enjoying the smoke and the ethereal look, which is amazing. I'm just wondering that there's obviously a texture, I think, over the smoke or over the image. It sort of squiggles, and I almost feel like that might detract a little bit. It's so beautiful on its own. I'm not sure it needs that pattern through the smoky elements. It's actually really strong on its own. So perhaps just tone that down.
I agree.
And here's the next one.
Look, congratulations, top 10, awesome. We keep saying it, but it is a really great achievement. And we've got here a really strong storytelling image, which it's birds and wood and a really beautifully restrained colour palette, and what is left out is great, and plenty of space around each object to present us with a really elegant triptych, and a very strong story. But I'm pretty sure you ladies will have more to add.
Oh, thanks, Janine. I just needed a little bit more time to sit with this, but I do really appreciate the simplicity that has been shown in this image. I think the only thing that I could add that I think would help to improve this triptych is with the broken egg in the third frame. I'd love to just see that presented with a little bit more authenticity, so perhaps having actually broken the egg. But it's a really interesting style, and I really appreciate the simplicity with which you have chosen to present your artwork. Well done.
Yes, the styling of it is beautiful. My only thing, that third image, there's a shadow on the egg on the ground, and the egg is significantly bigger than perhaps you would expect an egg from that tree to be. I don't quite understand why that is, but the shadow coming off the egg is going to the right, and then on the tree bough, there's a shadow under it on the left. So, and then perhaps no shadow from the tree. That might have been a choice, but sometimes when you're compositing, just make sure the shadows are all working with each other and the light direction is coming from the same place.
Thank you, judges. And here comes the next one.
Congratulations to the photographer. It is really inspiring to see human interaction with such an epic astronomical event, and gives it a touch of difference, a point of difference. I'm really enjoying the light on the rocks behind. And also the crop, I think, actually really brings it home to us, the vastness of this landscape. In this category, we are allowed to do a little retouching, and I feel like the bright spot on the right is a bit of a distraction, as are there's something on the edge of the frame at the bottom on the right-hand side that possibly I may not be able to see very well, but we could have perhaps lived without, and even perhaps that fence that's there. So finessing and caressing, all good, but it is commendable to include a human being in enjoying this landscape.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you there. I think that I'm not sure that it's necessary to actually retouch that hot spot out on the right-hand side there. I think that your composition would actually work a little bit better to keep your frame ratio exactly the same and then just pull that bottom right-hand corner in a little bit to get rid of the distracting elements on the right-hand side, and then to keep your figure very much more on the right-hand side of the composition with a recrop. I think that there's so much beauty going on in the sky in that image that you can really afford to just crop into it a little bit more. But this is fantastic astro work. Congratulations, and please keep showing us this.
And this is the lucky last of our top 10.
Ooh! How on earth do you make a piece of smoke look pregnant? That is very, very clever. What an interesting and thought-provoking presentation. I really commend you on providing something so unique. And it's really quite remarkable to see a capture of something presented to us as something that so obviously looks like a pregnant woman's belly. I adore the simplicity of this, and I really congratulate you on creating such a cool, abstract, simple image. Well done.
Beautiful tones in this image, and really set off by the black background. I think when I viewed this image judging at home, I was enjoying it for what it was, rather than doing the classic photographer thing, going, "Oh, how on earth did they do that?" And that's really powerful when you can go, "Yep, I'm just going to enjoy this for what it is."
Congratulations to all the photographers. Well done. Don't forget, tonight at 5 o'clock is when the category winners will be announced, along with the 3 finalists for New Zealand Amateur Photographer of the Year. So make sure you stick around to watch that. Also, thanks again to Photo Warehouse, because they have sponsors of the New Zealand Amateur Photography Awards. So you can see them in one of their 7 stores, or go to photowarehouse.co.nz. And we'll be back in about half an hour after our lunch break, and we will have the black and white category. So we will see you then. Lunchtime.